All right, before we jump in, just a quick but really important heads up. This is all for educational purposes. It is not financial advice. Welcome. Today, we are doing a deep dive into 15 days of absolutely fascinating data from the PLAZM protocol. We're going to break down how what should have been its biggest stress test ever, well, it didn't just fail to break the system, it actually turned into a massive accumulation event. You know, the whole idea, the core thesis behind this protocol, is this concept of being anti-fragile. The theory is that pressure and stress should actually make the system stronger, not weaker. Well, over the last 15 days, that theory got put to the ultimate test. And the reality? The data came back, and wow, it proved the thesis was right on the money. Okay, so here's how we're going to walk through this. We'll set the stage, then look at the burn acceleration, a huge surge in staking, the big flip in supply structure, and how the treasury got stronger. And then we'll wrap it all up with a final verdict based purely on the data. So let's set the scene. About 15 days ago, the protocol headed into what everyone knew was going to be its toughest period yet, a real trial by fire. And here was the big question on everyone's mind. With the largest token unlock in history, we're talking over 733,000 tokens about to hit the market on day 94. Was this thing going to bend? Was it going to break? Or, just maybe, would it come out the other side even stronger? The very first piece of the puzzle came from the burn mechanism. And what we saw wasn't just a small increase. It was an explosion. The rate of permanent supply reduction more than tripled. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of this. On day 84, we were at about 126,000 tokens burned. Just 15 days later, that number catapulted to over 500,000. An absolutely massive leap in supply that's just gone from the market forever. And this wasn't some one-off spike. Nope. It was a consistent, relentless climb upwards. We started with 3% of the supply burned, then we hit 5%, then 9% right after the big unlock, and by day 99, more than 10% of every PLAZM token was gone for good. So, why is this such a huge deal? Well, in just 15 days, over 415,000 tokens were permanently wiped out. Think about that. That means 1 out of every 10 PLAZM tokens that will ever exist is already gone. That's a massive, permanent dent in potential sell pressure, averaging almost 28,000 tokens burned every single day. Okay, next up. What were people actually doing during all this stress? Well, what we saw was nothing short of a massive surge of conviction, and you can see it plain as day in the staking numbers. When this test started, we had 1.24 million tokens staked, which was about 31% of the supply. By the end of it, that number swelled to 1.87 million tokens, a full 36% of the total supply. That's more than 600,000 extra tokens that people chose to lock up. And here's the kicker. The most intense staking happened after the moment of peak stress. In the 48 hours right after that huge unlock, 250,000 tokens were staked. It's clear people saw the protocol handle the pressure not as a risk, but as a huge confirmation signal. It was a green light. So, you've got all this burning, all this staking. What does that do to the bigger picture? It led to the most significant change in the protocol's history, a complete flip in the supply structure. On day 84, everything was perfectly balanced. You had 50% of the supply protected, staked, burned, locked up, and the other 50% was liquid, meaning it could be sold. A nice, even 50-50 split. 15 days later, bam, look at that. The whole thing flipped. Now the protected supply makes up 62% of the total, and the liquid, easily sellable supply has been squeezed all the way down to just 38%. That is a fundamental change in the game. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and kind of counterintuitive. How did this period of extreme stress actually end up making the protocol's treasury stronger? Well, the data shows the stress test became direct fuel for vault growth and its real yield engine. The numbers don't lie. The Treasury Vault grew from just under $400,000 to over $540,000. That's a 36% increase in value. This wasn't just the market going up. This was the protocol actively accumulating assets right in the middle of all that volatility. So how did that even work? It created this amazing positive feedback loop. The surge in staking sent more ETH into the vault. The vault then used that ETH to buy more bonds that generate yield. More bonds meant the protocol captured more trading fees, and then those fees were paid right back to the stakers. It's a perfect cycle that literally got stronger because of the stress. Okay, let's bring it all home. It is time for the final data-driven verdict. Let's look at the complete scorecard for this incredible 15-day transformation. The data really just speaks for itself here. Burns tokens up an incredible 329%. Stakes tokens up 51%. The liquid supply shrank. The protected supply grew. The vault's value up 36%. Bonds, shares, real yield, everything, every single metric without a single exception moved in a fundamentally stronger direction. Green check marks all the way down. The conclusion here is just unavoidable. 9 out of 9 key metrics improved. The stress test wasn't just survived, it was passed with flying colors. And if you take away just one number from all this, let it be this one. A 329% increase in permanently destroyed tokens in just 15 days. That's a fundamental change to the scarcity of the asset. So, to wrap it all up, 15 days. Every single metric improved. Burns were up 329%. Staking was up 51%. The vault grew by 36%. Liquid supply got squeezed from 50 down to 38%. What was meant to be a stress test became an accumulation event. That anti-fragile thesis, it's not just a theory anymore. It's 15 days of hard data. Tomorrow is day 100. The protocol has never been stronger. And we'll end right where we started. Please, always remember, this content is for your education. It is not financial advice. Never ever invest more than you're willing to lose. And please always do your own research.